Vandeham Shri Gurun Shriyatam Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Scha Shri Rupam Sangrajatam Saganaraganatam Vidam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadritam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Rana Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shivishkam Vidam Scha Om Agyanatim Randasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram militam yena tasma Shri Gurave namo Gurva bhistam sapurakam gurganara sisha sambhushitam Chintya chintya samasta veda nipanam Shri Rupa patanugam Govindabhidam ujwalam Varatanum bhaktyan vidam sundaram Mane vishwaguruncha divyat bhagavat prem noe bijapradam Devam divyatanum suchandavananam balar kuchelan Sandrananda Puram Sadikavaranam Vairagya Vidyambunim Sri Siddhanta Nidhim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Baram Bandetam Shubharam Mareka Sharanam Nyashishvara Shridaram Panchakopatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavinibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo 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 Mahavaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gorachavishe Namo. So we're hearing from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, translation and commentary by Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupad. This is Adi-lila, chapter 17, the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his youth. Bande Swarad Bhuteham Tam Chaitanyam Yat Prasadataha Yavanai Samanayante Krishna Nama Prajopakaha. Let me offer my respectful obeisances to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by whose mercy even unclean Yavanas become perfectly well-bred gentlemen by chanting the holy name of the Lord. Such is the power of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaurabhakta Vrinda. All glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all glories to Sri Nityananda Prabhu, all glories to Sri Advaita Acharya, and all glories to all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya. Kaishora Leela Sutra Korila Ganan Jovana Leela Sutra Koryanukram. I have already given a synopsis of the Kaishora Leela of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now let me enumerate his youthful pastimes in chronological order. So this is the Yovana Leela. Vidya Sundarya Shadvesha Sambhoga Nritya Kirtanai Premanama Pradanaischa Goro Divyati Yovane. Exhibiting his scholarship, beauty, and fine dress, Lord Chaitanya danced and chanted as he distributed the holy name of the Lord to awaken dormant love of Krishna. Thus, Lord Sri Gaurasundar shone in his youthful pastimes. Exhibiting his scholarship, beauty, and fine dress, Lord Chaitanya danced and chanted as he distributed the holy name of the Lord to awaken dormant love of Krishna. Thus Lord Sri Gaurasundar shone in his youthful pastimes. Yovana Praveshe Angera Anga Vibhushan Divya Bastra Divya Vesha Maya Chandan. As he entered his youth, the Lord decorated himself with ornaments, dressed himself in fine cloth, garlanded himself with flowers, and smeared himself with sandalwood. Vidyara Odatye Kahon Kore Ganan Sakala Pandita Jini Kore Adyapan. By dint of pride in his education, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, not caring for anyone else, defeated all kinds of learned scholars while executing his studies. Bayu Byade Chale Koila Prema Parakash Bhaktagana Loya Koila Bibida Vilas. In his youth, the Lord exhibited his ecstatic love of Krishna on the plea of disturbances of the bodily airs. Accompanied by his confidential devotees, he enjoyed various pastimes in this way. According to Ayurvedic treatment, the entire physiological system is conducted by three elements, namely Vayu, Pitta, and Kapha, air, bile, and mucus. Secretions within the body transform into other secretions like blood, urine, and stool. But if there are disturbances in the metabolism, the secretions turn into kapha, mucus, by the influence of the air within the body. According to the Ayurvedic system, when the secretion of bile and formation of mucus disturb the air circulating within the body, 59 varieties of diseases may occur. One such disease is craziness. On the plea of disturbance of the bodily air and metabolism, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu acted as if crazy. Thus in his school he began to explain the grammar of verbs through Krishna consciousness. Explaining everything in grammar in relation to Krishna, the Lord induced his students to refrain from worldly education, for it is better to become Krishna conscious, and in this way attain the highest perfectional platform of education. On these grounds, Sri Jiva Goswami later compiled the grammar entitled Harinamamrita Vyakaran. People in general considered such explanations crazy. Therefore, the Lord's purpose in his attitude of craziness was to explain that there is nothing within our experience but Krishna consciousness, for everything may be dovetailed with Krishna consciousness. These pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu have been very vividly described in the Chaitanya-bhagavat Madhya Kanda, chapter 1. So, from this explanation here, we can see that Srila Prabhupada, he very much was related with Ayurvedic medicine, whereas Govinda Maharaj, he liked homeopathic medicine. And in fact, Govinda Maharaj told me that there are two or three kinds of cheating that go on in India. And one of them, he said, was Ayurvedic doctors, and another, he said, was Jyotishas, who give astrology, and one, I think that those are the only two that he mentioned. And on another occasion, he mentioned this teaching of the art of the martial arts, or maybe that was Guru Maharaj. But I know those two, Jyotishas and Ayurvedic medicine. But Prabhupada, you can see, it's just like none of that really functions unless you have a good doctor. So you can't prescribe. It's hard to prescribe for yourself unless you're very advanced in understanding these things. As you see, Srila Prabhupada understands about Ayurvedic medicine, and Govinda Maharaj also understands about homeopathic, and therefore he could treat himself, and he also treated Guru Maharaj sometimes. So, and there are some devotees that know something, but although I know a little bit about astrology, whatever I've heard about astrology, I heard from Govinda Maharaj, not from any Jyotish. I never went to a Jyotish. Although I did ask some devotees who make charts and stuff like that.
I heard that Gurudev talked about your horoscope a few times.
Yeah.
My mother told me.
Yeah. And whatever I know about it or do is all based on what, if amulets or whatever, I don't wear them, but whatever I have, I got from Govinda Maharaj, who directly advised me. But anyway, it's very nice. And Srila Prabhupada, he one time told me that he had arranged to go see Indira Gandhi when she was the prime minister, and he was going to talked to her about the needs for what he needed for the mission. He was in India, and he had known Indira Gandhi in Allahabad when he was there. He had a pharmacy, and Jawaharlal Nehru used to come in with his daughter, who was Indira Gandhi. And she only has the name Gandhi because she married somebody named Gandhi who wasn't from the same Gandhi line as the Mahatma Gandhi. She wasn't. She just married somebody and she got the name Gandhi from somebody, and it sounded very good. So, but Prabhupada said when he went to see Indira Gandhi, he was going to ask her for help for the mission, but he said, first of all, he found her terrified. And at first he asked her, she said to him, well, she knew him, and she said, well, I heard that some of your people work with the government of the United States, like CIA or something like that. And Srila Prabhupada just said, that's not my concern, that's your concern. But that's not my concern. That's the first thing he said. And then he said, he found her terrified, like a child, because and this is what he told me in like 1976 or 1977. And he said he found her terrified, and like a child, he just had to comfort her because she had been told that she would be assassinated by some astrologers. She followed the astrologers, and they told her she would be assassinated, and she was terrified. And Prabhupada said, I didn't really ask her for anything. I just kind of preached to her to kind of make her calm, to assure her. But she was very distraught because some of her astrologers said she would be assassinated. And that's what Prabhupada told me. And she was assassinated, but not till like 1984 or 85, and Prabhupada left in 77. Something like that, around 84 or something. I remember that. So, but I also remember Prabhupada told me that. And I thought that's interesting that some astrologers told her that, and it did happen like that.
Well, Srila Prabhupada, he predicted that Gandhi would leave like that, right?
Who? Srila Prabhupada?
Yeah. He said, if you remember that letter he wrote him, he said, you will die in a violent way if you continue with what you're doing.
I don't remember that letter. But I was aware of everything that was going on in India during that time, and it's not illogical that he would say that because of what was being done. But I'm just mentioning that because the only reason that about astrology. Now, regarding here, disturbance of the airs with Mahaprabhu, he did act very crazy, and they got some special arani oil or something for put on him because he was acting so crazy. But it was actually some early symptoms of love of Godhead. And then Srivas Thakur, Mahaprabhu, asked him, do you think I'm crazy? And Srivas Thakur said, what craziness you have, I wish I had that. And Srivas Thakur knew it was love of Godhead, and Mahaprabhu told him, if you would have said I was crazy, he said, I would have jumped into the Ganges and finished everything. So, but Srivas Thakur said, what you have, I wish I had that. So it's like that, something like that. That's a reference here to the Tabeta Korila Prabhu Gayate Gaman Ishwara Purir Sange Tatai Milan Tabeta Korila Prabhu Gayate Gaman Ishwara Purira Sange Tatai Milan. Thereafter the Lord went to Gaya. There he met Srila Ishwara Puri. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Gaya to offer respectful obeisances to his forefathers. This process is called Pindadan in Vedic society. After the death of a relative, especially one's father or mother, one must go to Gaya and there offer obeisances to the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu. Therefore, hundreds and thousands of men gather in Gaya daily to offer such oblations or shraddha. Following this principle, Lord Chaitanya also went to offer pinda to his dead father. Fortunately, he met Ishwara Puri there. Okay. And Gaya is also the place where all the Buddhists go. Buddhists go on pilgrimage to Gaya. I would always, sometimes, around that time of year, I don't remember which, one time when I would be going to India, I would sometimes from Thailand find many Buddhist monks on the plane. And they were going to Gaya. Diksha Nantare Hoila Primera Prakash Deshe Agaman Puna Primera Vilas. And the Buddhists would all, they'd offer pranams and wave to you. It was very nice seeing them.
You're wearing your saffron cloth.
Yeah, so they would. Diksha Nantare Hoila Primera Prakash Deshe Agamana Puna Primera Vilas. In Gaya, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was initiated by Ishwara Puri, and immediately afterwards he exhibited signs of love of Godhead. He again displayed such symptoms after returning home. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Gaya, accompanied by many of his disciples, he became sick on the way. He had such a high fever that he asked his students to bring water that had washed the feet of Brahmins. And when they brought it, the Lord drank it and was cured. Therefore, everyone should respect the position of a Brahmin as indicated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Neither the Lord nor his followers displayed any disrespect to Brahmins. Well, that's maybe put in there by Srila Prabhupada to establish some proper behavior for his students. The followers of the Lord must be prepared to offer Brahmins all the respect, offer Brahmins due respect. But preachers of Lord Chaitanya's cult object if someone presents himself as a Brahmin without having the necessary qualifications. The followers of Lord Chaitanya cannot blindly accept that everyone born in a Brahmin family is a Brahmin. Therefore, one should not indiscriminately follow the Lord's example of showing respect to Brahmins by drinking water that has washed their feet. Gradually, the Brahmin families have become degraded because of the contamination of Kali Yuga. Thus, they misguide people by exploiting their sentiments. So, once, I think it was in Vrindaban, I'm not sure, there was one sannyasi who came to see Srila Prabhupada, and he was in very orange cloth, like very dark orange cloth. Not brown, but very bright orange cloth. And Prabhupada told me to give a garland to him. So I went to that sannyasi, who also had long hair, and I put a garland on him. And then Srila Prabhupada told me, you gave the garland to that sannyasi, but you didn't offer any pranams or dandavats to him, so you should fast. Prabhupada told me.
Really?
Yeah, he said, you should fast. And then I said to Srila Prabhupada, well, Prabhupada, I didn't know he was a sannyasi. He has long hair, and he has this long hair and this dark cloth. I didn't know he was a sannyasi. I spoke that way in front of sannyasi. And then Srila Prabhupada said, oh, you didn't know he was a sannyasi? Okay, then you don't have to fast.
Was he teasing you?
What?
Was he teasing you when he said that you have to fast?
Probably, but I don't know. I didn't know he was teasing me, but I just said, I didn't know he was a sannyasi. He has long hair. Well, I was supposed to know he's a sannyasi. And Prabhupada then said, oh, you didn't know he was a sannyasi? Okay, you don't have to fast.
That's very funny.
Maybe the sannyasi didn't even know what we were saying. Shachike Premadana Tabe Advaita Milan Advaita Paila Vishwarupa Darshan. Thereafter, the Lord delivered love of Krishna to his mother Sachimata, nullifying her offense at the feet of Advaitacharya. Thus there was a meeting with Advaitacharya, who later had a vision of the Lord's universal form. One day, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was sitting on the throne of Vishnu in the house of Srivas Prabhu, and in a mood of his own, he said, my mother has offended the lotus feet of Advaitacharya. Unless she nullifies this offense at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava, it will not be possible for her to achieve love of Krishna. He spoke that way when he was giving benedictions to everyone, and he referred to his mother Sachi as being an offender. Because Mother Sachi thought that when Vishwarup left home, it was due to the influence of Advaitacharya, and she was also afraid he would influence Mahaprabhu to leave home. So Mahaprabhu said she was an offender. Hearing this, all the devotees went to bring Advaitacharya there. While coming to see the Lord, Advaitacharya was glorifying the characteristics of Mother Sachi Devi, and thus upon arriving, he fell down on the ground in ecstasy. Then, under the instruction of Lord Chaitanya, Sachi Devi took advantage of this situation to touch Advaitacharya's lotus feet. Actually, from what I remember is when Advaitacharya heard that Mother Sachi was an offender, when he was glorifying her, he fainted. And then Mahaprabhu told Mother Sachi, now's your chance. Go take his foot dust and put it on your head, which she did. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very pleased by his mother's action and he said, now my mother's offense at the lotus feet of Advaitacharya has been rectified, and she may have love of Krishna without difficulty. By this example, Lord Chaitanya taught everyone that although one may be very much advanced in Krishna consciousness, if one offends the lotus feet of a Vaishnava, his advancement will not bear fruit. We should therefore be very cautious not to offend a Vaishnava. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita describes such an offense as follows. Yadi Vaishnava parad ute hati mata upadin ba chinde tara suke jayapata. As a mad elephant may trample all the plants in a garden, so by committing one offense at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava, one may spoil all the devotional service he has accumulated in his life. After this incident, one day Advaitacharya Prabhu requested Mahaprabhu to display the universal form he had very kindly shown Arjuna. Lord Chaitanya agreed to this proposal, and Advaita Prabhu was fortunate enough to see the universal form of the Lord. So I've also heard about this Vaishnava Aparad. One thing I've read, and I mean, there's maybe differing information, but one thing I read is that in order for something to be a severe Vaishnava Aparad, it has to be intentional. It has to be intentional. There has to be some premeditated sentiment to commit some offense at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava. And if that's done, if it's done in that way, it's very severe. But if someone just makes Vaishnava aparads like we do, because sometimes we're ignorant and may make a Vaishnava aparad, that's not so severe. Like, Like Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he said that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was to inaugurate the temple of Bagh Bazar Gaudiya Math in Kolkata, and he was to establish the deities there. But the way Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur especially would establish the deities, he would put Tulsi at the lotus feet of the Lord. But Srila Sridhar Maharaj, not knowing that, he had made the altar, arranged the altar, but he put Tulsi at the Lord's lotus feet. So then when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur came, and he said, I was going to install the deities, but they have installed themselves, because there's already Tulsi there at their lotus feet. And then Srila Sridhar Maharaj told Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur that was his mistake. He had made that offense to Srila Saraswati Thakur. Then Srila Saraswati Thakur told him that between Vaishnavas there is no offense. So Srila Saraswati Thakur didn't consider that Guru Maharaj had made an offense. If something's not done intentionally, one has to be careful. Even dealing with children, one has to be careful with the small boys and girls. Prabhura Abhisheka Tabe Korila Shrivas Katebase Prabhu Koila Aishvarya Prakash. Srivas Thakur then worshipped Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by the process of Abhishek. Sitting on a cot, the Lord exhibited transcendental opulence. Abhishek is a special function for the installation of the deity. In this ceremony, the deity is bathed with milk and water and then worshipped and given a change of dress. This Abhishek function was especially observed at the house of Srivas. All the devotees, according to their means, worshipped the Lord with all kinds of paraphernalia, and the Lord gave benedictions to each devotee according to his desire. Tabi Nityananda Swarup Paragaman Prabhuke Miliya Paila Shadbhuja Darshan. After this function at the house of Srivas Thakur, Nityananda Prabhu appeared, and when he met with Lord Chaitanya, he got the opportunity to see him in his six-armed form, in his Sadbhuj. The form of Sadbhuja, the six-armed Lord Gaurasundar, is a representation of three incarnations. The form of Sri Ramachandra is symbolized by a bow in one hand and an arrow in another. The form of Lord Krishna is symbolized by a stick and a flute, like those generally held by a cowherd boy. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is symbolized by a sannyas danda and a kamandalu, or water pot. Srila Nityananda Prabhu was born in the village of Ekachakra in the district of Birbhum as the son of Padmavati and Hadai Pandit. In his childhood, he played like Balaram. When he was growing up, a sannyasi came to the house of Hadai Pandit and begged to have the Pandit's son as his brahmachari assistant. Hadai Pandit immediately agreed and delivered his son to him, although the separation was greatly shocking, so much so that Hadai lost his life after the separation. Nityananda Prabhu traveled on many pilgrimages with the sannyasi. It is said that for many days he lived at Mathura with him, and at the time he heard about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes in Navadvip. Therefore, he came down to Bengal to see the Lord. When Lord Nityananda came to Navadvip, he was a guest at the house of Nandanacharya. Understanding that Nityananda Prabhu had arrived, Lord Chaitanya sent his devotees to him, and thus there was a meeting between Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. Pratame Shadbhujatare Dekala Ishwara Shankha Chakra Gara Padma Shanga Benudara. One day, Lord Chaitanya exhibited to Lord Nityananda Prabhu a six-armed form bearing a conch shell, disc, club, lotus, flower, bow, and flute. Tabe Chaturbhuja Hoila Tina Anga Bakra Dui Haste Benu Bajai Duye Shankha Chakra. Thereafter, the Lord showed his four-armed form standing in a three-curved position, standing in a three-curved posture. With two hands he played upon a flute, and in the other two he carried a conch shell and disc. Tabita Dvibhuja Kevala Bamshivaran Shama Anga Pita Bastra Brajendra Nandan. Finally, the Lord showed Nityananda Prabhu his two-armed form of Krishna, the son of Maharaj Nanda, simply playing on his flute, his bluish body dressed in yellow garments. Tabe Nityananda Gosara Vyasa Bhupujan Nityananda Veshe Koila Mushala Dharan. Nityananda Prabhu then arranged to offer Vyas Puja, worship of the spiritual master, the Lord Sri Varasundar. But Lord Chaitanya carried the plow-like weapon called Mushala in the ecstasy of being Nityananda Prabhu. By the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu arranged for the Vyas Puja of the Lord on the night of the full moon. He arranged for the Vyas Puja or Guru Puja through the agency of Vyasadeva. Since Vyasadeva is the original Guru, spiritual master of all who follow the Vedic principles, worship of the spiritual master is called Vyasa Puja. Nityananda Prabhu arranged for the Vyasa Puja, and Sankirtan was going on, but when he tried to put a garland on the shoulder of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he saw himself in Lord Chaitanya. There's no difference between the spiritual positions of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu or Krishna and Balaram. All of them are but different manifestations of the Supreme Personality of God. During the special ceremony, all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could understand that there is no difference between Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda Prabhu. I also know that when Nityananda Prabhu arrived, it was arranged for Nityananda Prabhu's Vyas Puja. And that, because he met with Mahaprabhu, and then Mahaprabhu arranged for Nityananda Prabhu. What's here is a different incident. Tabi Sache Dekila Ramakrishna Duibai Tabi Nishtarila Prabhu Jagai Madai. Thereafter, Mother Sachi Devi saw the brothers Krishna and Balaram and their manifestation of Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda. Then the Lord delivered the two brothers, Jagai and Madai. Okay. One night, Sachi Devi dreamt that the deities in her house, Krishna and Balaram, had taken the forms of Chaitanya and Nityananda and were fighting one another as children do to eat the Naivedya, or offering to the deities. On the next day, by the will of Lord Chaitanya, Sachi Devi invited Nityananda to take prasadam at her house. Thus, Vishwambar, Lord Chaitanya, and Nityananda were eating together, and Sachi Devi realized that they were none other than Krishna and Balaram. Seeing this, she fainted. Jagai and Madai were two brothers born in Navadip in a respectable Brahmin family who later became addicted to all kinds of sinful activities. So they were born in a Brahmin family in Navadip. So by the order of Lord Chaitanya, both Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas Thakur used to preach the cult of Krishna consciousness door to door. In the course of such preaching, they found Jagai and Madai, two man-drunken brothers who upon seeing them began to chase them. The next day, Maharaj struck Nityananda Prabhu on the head with a piece of earthen pot, thus drawing blood. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard of this, he immediately came to the spot, ready to punish both brothers. But when the all-merciful Lord Gauranga saw Jagai's repentant behavior, he immediately embraced him. By seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face and embracing him, both the sinful brothers were at once cleansed. Thus they received initiation into the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra from the Lord and were delivered. So regarding Jagai and Madai, Mahaprabhu wanted to start Sankirtan and bring everyone to his mission. So Nityananda Prabhu considered, along with Haridas Thakur, that they should start with the most fallen persons because that would show the magnitude of Mahaprabhu's mercy. So they started with Jagai and Madai, who were actually drunkards in the street, and then they were attacked, and then the rest of the incident is described here. But that was through the agency of Nityananda Prabhu that Jagai and Madai were delivered. But when Mahaprabhu came there, but when Mahaprabhu came, he embraced Jagai, and Jagai began to shiver and chant the holy name and show divine ecstasy. And then Madai, seeing that, also begged forgiveness. So it's a very Tabe Sapta Prahar Chila Prabhu Baba Veshe Yata Tata Bhaktagan Dekila Visheshe. After this incident, the Lord remained in an ecstatic position for 21 hours, and all the devotees saw his specific pastimes. In the deity room, there must be a bed for the deity behind his throne. This system should immediately be introduced in all our centers. It does not matter whether the bed is big or small. It should be of a size the deity room can conveniently accommodate, but there must be at least a small bed. One day in the house of Srivas Thakur, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sat down on the bed of Vishnu, and all the devotees worshipped him with the Vedic mantras of the Purusha Shukta, beginning with Sahasra Shirsha Purusha Saharaksha Sahasrapat. The Veda Stuti should also be introduced, if possible, for installations of deities. While bathing the deity, all the priests and devotees must chant the Purusha Shukta and offer the appropriate paraphernalia for worshipping the deities, such as flowers, fruits, incense, arti, paraphernalia, naivedya, bastra, and ornaments. And all that's given in the book. What's the, I'm trying to remember the name of the book. I have that by memory failing me, but what's the name of, you know the name of that book is by Sanatana Goswami. No, it's another book, and it gives, anyway, it tells about how to do the installation of the worship and all different forms of worship.
It's not Hari Bhakti Vilas.
No, maybe you're right, but I don't believe it's Hari Bhakti Vilas. It's another book. All the devotees worshiped Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this way, and the Lord remained in ecstasy for 7 praharas or 21 hours. He took this opportunity to show the devotees that he is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, who is the source of all other incarnations, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Aham sarvasya prabhavo mata sarvam pravartate. All the different forms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or Vishnu Tattva, emanate from the body of Lord Krishna. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exposed all the private desires of the devotees, and thus all of them became fully confident that Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Some devotees call this exhibition of ecstasy by the Lord Shata Praharya Bhava, or the ecstasy of 21 hours. And others call it Mahabhava Prakash or Mahaprakash. There is a description of this Shata Praharya Bhava in the Chaitanya-bhagavat Madhya Kanda, chapter 9, which mentions that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu blessed a maidservant named Duki with the name Suki. He called for Kolavecha Sridhar and showed him his Mahaprakash. Then he called for Murari Gupta and showed him his feature as Lord Ramachandra. He offered his blessings to Haridas Thakur, and at this time he also asked Advaita Prabhu to explain the Bhagavad Gita as it is Gitara Satyapata, and showed special favor to Mukunda. So, what's being described here, the Chaitanya Charitamrita is not presenting all these incidents in detail because they're in the Chaitanya-bhagavat. And therefore Krishnadas Kaviraj doesn't describe them because he considers Vrindaban Das Thakur has already presented all this information. But Prabhupada is putting it here in the book. So because it's not in, I'm reading that purport. Of course, it's expanding this because with Krishnadas Kaviraj, he writes one shloka about a whole pastime, but Prabhupada explains it. So I'm reading that. Varaha Vesha Hoila Murari Bhavane Taraskande Chare Prabhu Nachila Angane. One day Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu felt the ecstasy of the boar incarnation and got up on the shoulders of Murari Gupta. Thus they both danced in Murari Gupta's courtyard. Tabe Shuklam Bader Koila Tandula Bakan Hare Nama Shogara Koila Arta Viva. After this incident, the Lord ate raw rice given by Shuklambar Brahmachari and explained very elaborately the import of the Hare Nama shloka mentioned in the Brihad Naradiya Purana. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama Eva Kevalam, Kalo Nashteva, Nastyeva, Nashyeva Gatiranyata. In this age of Kali, there is no other means for self-realization than chanting the holy name, chanting the holy name, chanting the holy name of Lord Hari. Kali Kale Nama Rupe Krishna Avatar Nama Hoite Hoy Sarva Jagata Jagat Nishtar. In this age of Kali, the holy name of the Lord, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, is the incarnation of Lord Krishna. Simply by chanting the holy name, one associates with the Lord directly. Anyone who does this is certainly delivered. Darjalage Harinama Ukti Teen Bar Jadaloka Bujaite Puna Evakar. This verse repeats the word Eva certainly 3 times for emphasis, and it also 3 times repeats Harinama, the holy name of the Lord, just to make common people understand. Kevala Shabde Punarapi Nischarya Karan Jnana Yoga Tapakarma Adi Nivaran. The use of the word Kevala only prohibits all other processes such as the cultivation of knowledge, practice of mystic yoga, or performance of austerities, and fruitive activities. Krishna Bhakta Nishkama Deva Shanta Bhukti Mukti Siddhi Kami Sakaliya Shanta. That's one verse that describes the devotee, because he has no mundane desires, is there. Krishna Bhakta Nishkama Deva Shanta. Therefore, he's peaceful. Bhukti Mukti Siddhi Kami Sakaliya Shanta. Those who have desires for enjoyment or mystic powers, or also Bhukti Mukti Siddhi, or liberation, they are always disturbed. Anyata che mane tara nahika nishtar, nahi 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 18 evakar. This verse clearly states the one who accepts any other path cannot be delivered. This is the reason for the triple repetition, nothing else, nothing else, nothing else, which emphasizes the real process of self-realization. Kalo nasteva, 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 gatiranta, anyata. So Harinam, only through chanting of the holy name. Trina hoite nityahaya sabahab labinam apani nira bimani anye diveman. Trina hoite nityahaya sadalabinam apane nirabhimani anye diveman. To chant the holy name always, one should be humbler than the grass in the street and devoid of all desire for personal honor. But one should offer others all respectful obeisances. Tarusama sahishnuta vaishnava koribe bhartsana tarane kake kichuna bolibe. A devotee engaged in chanting the holy name of the Lord should practice forbearance like that of a tree. Even if rebuked or chastised, he should not say anything to others to retaliate. Kati leha taru jena kichuna bolai sukaya mare tabu jao na magai. For even if one cuts a tree, it never protests. And even if it is drying up and dying, it does not ask anyone for water. This practice of forbearance, taroriva sahishnuta, is very difficult, but when one actually engages in chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, the quality of forbearance automatically develops. A person advanced in spiritual consciousness through the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra need not practice to develop it separately, for a devotee develops all good qualities simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra regularly. Let's see. Okay. Emata Vaishnavakari Kichu Namagiba Ayachita Vritti Kimva Shokafala Koiba. Thus a Vaishnava should not ask anything from anyone else. If someone gives him something without being asked, he should accept it. But if nothing comes, a Vaishnava should be satisfied to eat whatever vegetables and fruits are easily available. Saranama loiba jata labite santosh aita chara kore bhakti dharma posh. One should strictly follow the principle of always chanting the holy name, and one should be satisfied with whatever he gets easily. Such devotional behavior solidly maintains one's devotional service. Trinadapi sunichena taror iva sahishnuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. One who thinks himself lower than the grass, who is more tolerant than a tree, and who does not expect personal honor, yet is always prepared to give all respect to others, can very easily always chant the holy name of the Lord. Urdvabahu kori kahun shuna sarvalok namasutre gante para kante eishlok. Raising my hands, I declare, everyone please hear me. String this verse on the thread of the holy name and wear it on your neck for continuous remembrance. Prabhu Agyaya Kore Shloka Acharan Abhasha Paibe Tabe Sri Krishna Charan. One must strictly follow the principles given by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this verse. If one simply follows in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya and the Goswamis, certainly he will achieve the ultimate goal of life, the lotus feet of Sri Krishna. Tabe Prabhu Srivasara Grihe Nirantar Ratre Sankirtana Koila Ek Samvatsar. Lord Chaitanya regularly led congregational chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra in the house of Srivas Thakur every night for 1 year. Okay, so I'm going to stop here, and tomorrow we'll continue. Okay. Oops. Chapter 17.
Are we in chapter 17?
Yeah, it's the last
That's the
chapter.
last chapter.
Yeah.
That's right.
Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jaravaya Nama Jaravaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan Giridhari Gopinatha Madanaman Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra Dharanara Shiva Sadi Gora Bhaktivedanta Jai Rupa Sanatam Bhattaraguna Shri Jiva Gopala Bhattadasa Raguna Echai Gosai Kori Charana Bandhan Jai Te Vignana Shamishta Puran Echai Gosai Jar Mui Taradas Kastavar Pada Renu Mora Panchagas Kader Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanibas Janame More Ambilas Echai Gosai Jabe Braje Koilabas Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Kolila Prakash Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindaban Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Majai Aman Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyas. Harinam Sankirtana Gohe Naratamuda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gora Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo. Now I remember the name of that book. So Sat Kriya Sardipika. Sat Kriya Sardipika. I believe it's by Sanatana Goswami, but I'm not sure. Can you look it up? Sat Kriya Sardipika. And that tells you everything. It tells you how to install deities. It tells you how to have initiations. It tells you how to have marriages. All these kind of things. Sat Kriya Sardipika. That's the name of it. Sat Kriya. Sat Kriya Sardipika. See who it's by though.
It's Gopal Bhatta Goswami.
Okay, Gopal Bhatta Goswami. So I was wrong. Gopal Bhatta. He originally, was it? And also I thought that with Hari Bhakti Vilas, wasn't it written by Sanatana Goswami, but then he did some arrangement to also put Gopal Bhatta Goswami's name on it.
Yeah,
To,
something like that,
yeah, to give him some position. But
because Gopal Bhatta was like he was a Brahmin.
yeah.
And all of that,
So Sat Kriya Sardipika is that book when it's mentioned. What were we talking about that came up about?
Installing Tulsi leaves?
Oh,
Was it that?
no, it wasn't that. It was maybe about deity installation. Or, so that's the name of that book, Sat Kriya Sardipika. Okay, Jai Saparikara Shishi Guru Guranga Gandharvika Giridhari Joki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Nirmawacharya Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parabhajakracharya Ashtatara Sadarshi Shimad. Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parabhajakracharya Ashtatara Sadarshi Shimad. Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Satchidananda Bhaktivedanta Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Rupanuka Guru Varga Ki Jai. Namachar Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Dasha Raghunath Shad Swami Prabhu Ki Jai. Premsigo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Jai Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya-bhagavat Ki Jai. Srila Vrindaban Thakur Ki Jai. Narottam Srinivas Shamananda Prabhu ki jai, Vishvavaranya Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai, our Srila Bhakti Kushamashra Maharaj ki jai, and Srila Bhakti Tilak Niriha Maharaj ki jai, Ananti Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Sri Namadip Dham ki jai, Sri Mayapur ki jai, Saparshita Sri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai, Saparshita Sriman Mahaprabhu ki jai, Sri Koladvip ki jai, Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat ki jai, Soquel Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Seva Ashram ki jai, Ganga Devi ki jai, Tulasi Maharani ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Shiv Vrindaban Nam ki jai, Shri Radha Krishna Ko Gopi Govardhan, Shyam Kuna Radha Kunda Kalindi Yamuna Jo ki jai, Shri Purushottam Madam ki jai, Baladev Subhadra Jagannath Jo ki jai, Bhakta Pravara Shri Prahlad Maharaj ki jai, Shri Nrsingadev ki jai, Shri Vishaka Devi Dasi ki jai, all the assembled devotees ki jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.
Bhakti Pavan Janardan Maharaj ki jai.